Dark chocolate. The cacao tree, Theobroma cacao, a name that translates from Greek as food of the gods, has been under cultivation for at least 3,600 years. The Olmec civilization of Mesoamerica were the first to process its seeds, and the practice passed to the Maya and Aztec peoples who treated cacao beans as a monetary unit, using them to settle debts and purchase goods. A single turkey cost roughly 100 beans.
Dark chocolate is legally defined in most markets as containing a minimum of 35% cacao solids, though serious confectioners begin at 70% and extreme single-ingredient bars reach 100%. The percentage printed on a wrapper describes the total proportion derived from the cacao bean. Everything else is primarily sugar.
Belgian confectioners in the late 19th century transformed dark chocolate's texture through a process called conching, a machine that churns chocolate paste continuously for anywhere between 12 and 96 hours, driving off acidic compounds and coating every fat particle in smooth cocoa butter.
The longer the conch runs, the rounder and more complex the flavor becomes. Bars from West Africa tend toward earthy and woody notes. Those from Peru or Venezuela can carry distinct traces of red fruit, tobacco, or even leather, entirely dependent on soil composition and fermentation method, not additives.
Milk chocolate. Milk and chocolate are chemically resistant to each other. Liquid milk contains enough water to cause chocolate to seize, the fats and solids clumping irreversibly into a grainy mass. Swiss confectioner Daniel Peter spent the better part of a decade attempting to solve this problem before his neighbor, Henri Nestle, offered a solution in 1875: powdered milk, which Nestle had recently developed for infant nutrition. Removing the water content allowed the two ingredients to combine stably for the first time.
Milk chocolate must contain at least 10% cocoa solids and 12% milk solids under most national regulations, though European standards push the milk threshold to 14%. American milk chocolate carries a distinctly sharp, slightly fermented tang that surprises many foreign consumers. That flavor originates in Hershey's founding recipe, which used partially lipolyzed milk, a preservation technique developed before refrigeration was reliable that breaks down milk fats through controlled microbial activity.
The resulting flavor was considered a defect elsewhere, but became the defining characteristic of American milk chocolate. Today, it is intentionally replicated to maintain consistency with what domestic consumers expect.
White chocolate. White chocolate contains no cacao solids. It is composed exclusively of cocoa butter, the pale fat extracted from the cacao bean, combined with sugar and milk solids. This absence disqualified it legally from the category of chocolate for most of the 20th century. The United States Food and Drug Administration did not establish an official standard of identity for white chocolate until 2004, requiring a minimum of 20% cocoa butter and 14% milk solids. Europe adopted similar standards 2 years earlier.
Nestle first sold it commercially in 1936 under the name Galac across European markets. Cocoa butter melts at approximately 34 degrees Celsius, barely below human body temperature, which makes white chocolate extraordinarily difficult to work with technically. It blooms easily, streaks during tempering, and bonds poorly with other fats. Professional chocolatiers often treat it not as a finished product, but as a neutral carrier, using its mild sweetness and fat content to suspend other flavors: matcha, yuzu, lavender, or freeze-dried raspberry. Its own flavor profile, when made with high-quality cocoa butter, is clean and faintly floral, nothing like the cloyingly sweet industrial versions most consumers have encountered.
Ruby chocolate is pink, not through dye, not through added fruit, but through a specific treatment of naturally occurring compounds inside certain cacao beans. Barry Callebaut, the Swiss-Belgian cocoa giant, announced the variety in September 2017 after more than a decade of proprietary research. The beans used, sourced primarily from Ecuador, Côte d'Ivoire, and Brazil,
contain elevated concentrations of anthocyanin precursors. When processed at low temperatures and without standard fermentation, those compounds remain intact and produce a vivid pink to magenta color naturally.
The flavor is equally unexpected. Tart, berry-adjacent, with a faint citrus finish. No berry flavoring is added. The sourness comes from the absence of fermentation, which normally neutralizes the raw bean's acidity. Ruby chocolate must contain at least 47.3% total cocoa content to meet international classification standards, placing it compositionally between milk and dark chocolate. It took Barry Callebaut 13 years to develop a reproducible process, and the exact methodology remains a trade secret. Kit Kat was the first mass-market brand to use it, launching a ruby variety in Japan and South Korea in 2018.
Blonde chocolate emerged from a mistake. In 2006, French pastry chef Frédéric Beau left a quantity of white chocolate sitting in a bain-marie at the École du Grand Chocolat Valrhona, forgetting it for several hours. Rather than burning, the chocolate underwent a slow caramelization, the Maillard reaction, the same chemical transformation responsible for bread crust and seared meat, gradually converted the milk proteins and sugars into a complex golden compound.
The result tasted like shortbread, salted caramel, and toffee simultaneously, with a depth that white chocolate could never achieve on its own. Valrhona commercialized the variety under the name Dolce in 2012, keeping the production temperature precisely around 120 degrees Celsius for extended periods to replicate the transformation consistently. The process is deceptively difficult to control. A few degrees too high and the sugars burn, too low and the reaction stalls. Blonde chocolate has since attracted significant interest from pastry professionals and is now considered a distinct fourth category alongside dark, milk, and white, though it has no independent legal classification in most jurisdictions.
Modica chocolate. The town of Modica, in the southeastern corner of Sicily, produces a chocolate that has remained structurally unchanged since the 16th century. Spanish colonizers brought Aztec cacao preparation techniques to the island during their occupation of southern Italy, and local confectioners preserved the method long after the rest of Europe moved on to smoother, refined styles.
Modica chocolate is never conched, never refined, and never combined with cocoa butter or additional fat. The cacao mass is worked at temperatures that never exceed 40 degrees Celsius, deliberately kept below the melting point of cocoa butter, so the fat stays locked within the cacao solids rather than flowing freely. Sugar is added as raw crystals, which remain undissolved throughout, giving the finished bar a gritty, almost sandy texture that shatters rather than snapping cleanly. Traditional additions include cinnamon, vanilla pod, and dried chili, the same spices the Aztecs used centuries earlier. In 2018, Modica chocolate received protected geographical indication status from the European Union, legally restricting the name to bars produced in municipality using the ancient cold process method. Biting into one feels nothing like modern chocolate. It crumbles and dissolves unevenly, the sugar crystals audible as they break.
Single-origin chocolate. Most commercial chocolate is a blend, beans sourced from multiple countries, averaged together to produce a consistent, predictable flavor year after year. Single-origin chocolate rejects that logic entirely. It traces every bean to one country, one region, or in some cases, one named estate, treating geography as the primary flavor variable rather than something to be neutralized. The concept mirrors what happened in specialty coffee and natural wine. Terroir, the combination of soil chemistry, altitude, rainfall, and microbial environment, produces flavor compounds that cannot be replicated by blending. Venezuelan cacao from the Chuao Valley, a coastal village accessible only by boat, yields roughly 20 metric tons annually and is considered among the most prized raw materials in fine chocolate. Madagascar cacao, grown on the island's eastern rainforest coast, is reliably fruity and acidic, with a raspberry top note. Ecuadorian Nacional cacao, one of the world's oldest fine flavor varieties, has a distinctly floral profile with jasmine and citrus characteristics. The craft chocolate movement, which emerged in the United States around 2005 with small batch makers sourcing and roasting their own beans, drove consumer awareness of these distinctions and created a market where single origin bars now sell for several times the price of commodity chocolate.
Gianduja. Gianduja was born from scarcity. In the early 19th century, Napoleon Bonaparte's naval blockade of British-controlled trade routes cut off the supply of cacao to continental Europe. Chocolate became a luxury that Piedmontese confectioners in Turin, northern Italy, could no longer afford to produce in quantity. Their solution was to extend the dwindling cacao supply by grinding it with locally abundant Piedmont hazelnuts, a variety known for unusually low tannin content and a clean, buttery flavor, and blending the mixture into a smooth paste at roughly a 30% hazelnut to 70% chocolate ratio.
The name comes from Gianduja, a carnivalesque folk character from Turin who became a symbol of Piedmontese identity. Traditional Gianduja is soft enough to spread at room temperature, silkier than standard chocolate, due to the hazelnut oil contributing additional fat. A century after its creation, the same logic was applied again. During post-World War II cocoa shortages, confectioner Pietro Ferrero dramatically increased the hazelnut ratio and mixed the paste with vegetable oil to create a shelf-stable product affordable to working-class Italian families. That product became Nutella. Gianduja remains its sophisticated, chocolate-dominant ancestor, still produced by artisan houses in Piedmont using hazelnuts from the Langhe Hills.
Drinking chocolate existed as a liquid for approximately 3,500 years before anyone thought to make it solid. The Maya consumed it cold and unsweetened, whisked into a froth with water and seasoned with dried chili, cornmeal, and achiote. The Aztecs reserved the drink for warriors and nobility. It was considered energizing, even sacred. Hernán Cortés encountered it at the court of Moctezuma in 1519 and brought cacao back to Spain, where court physicians added cane sugar and served it heated. Within decades, it had spread across European aristocracy as a luxury beverage. European drinking chocolate is fundamentally different from hot cocoa powder dissolved in milk. It is made by melting actual chocolate, typically a high percentage dark or milk block, directly into warm liquid, producing a drink with a viscosity that approaches pudding. In Florence and Naples, chocolate calda is thick enough to coat the back of a spoon heavily. Spanish chocolaterias serves it alongside churros, specifically because its density makes it structurally useful as a dipping medium. Viennese trench chocolate, topped with unsweetened whipped cream and occasionally dusted with cacao powder, became a coffeehouse institution in the Habsburg era. The powdered hot cocoa sold in supermarkets today, a mixture of low-fat cacao, dried milk, and sugar, bears almost no relationship to these preparations in texture, richness, or historical lineage.